the 2025 Mazda CX-70. In their latest press release, they haven't revealed to us everything, but I'll be sure to go over what they have disclosed, and I'm also going to refer to the CX-90 as well to give you a more insightful review and to let you know what you can expect from the CX-70. So let's get started. Starting out with the looks, this is essentially your two-row version of the CX-90, and from the outside it looks very similar to its larger counterpart. However, in my opinion, there are some subtle exterior styling cues that make this a more stylish vehicle. It looks a little bit more aggressive in the front end, and the overall vehicle looks a little bit more purposeful than the CX-90. But overall, I'm a fan of the way both of these vehicles look. I think it's fine, I think it's unique, but the CX-70 is better, in my opinion, than the CX-90. They haven't disclosed the exact dimensions of this vehicle, but many of you have also commented saying that the CX-70 is going to be the exact length and dimensions as the CX-90, which, I don't know, that doesn't make much sense. Why should this vehicle have to be unnecessarily larger than it needs to be? I would like this to be shorter than the CX-90 so it's easier to maneuver and fit inside of a garage space. But going back to some of the things Mazda themselves disclosed, they are saying that the CX-70 will utilize remote folding rear seats. So I'm guessing that you can probably use the Mazda app to remotely fold down the seats for an added convenience, as well as a newly optimized rear cargo area with grocery bag hooks and some storage space underneath that flap that you can open in the trunk. You can open that up and that'll also reveal to you additional storage, or a sub-trunk as Mazda likes to call it. So that's great. Those are some very practical things. And the CX-70, it's going to be utilizing Alexa with the interior and the infotainment, and this is to offer you a better voice command experience. You can now talk to Alexa naturally to control the temperature inside the vehicle or to change the radio station. So whether you like it or not, this is something that Mazda is going to be implementing. I already covered the 2024 Miata. That vehicle is also going to utilize Alexa with its infotainment system. But regardless, the regular Mazda infotainment is something I'm a huge fan of. I think it's clean, it's elegant, it's non-distracting. You use it with the rotary knob. I just think it's perfectly designed. Some people complain about it, but I personally really like Mazda's infotainment. But we also have a new safety feature called unresponsive driver support. So if you, the driver, are not responding to the various alerts that the vehicle is giving you, then the CX-70 will be able to take control of itself and safely bring the vehicle to a stop if you are not responding to the various alerts. And that's pretty much it for everything that Mazda themselves are officially releasing to the public. They haven't released pricing, specs, dimensions, anything like that, but we can of course look at the CX-90 to give us a good ballpark on what we can expect for features and pricing, etc. So we do know that the CX-70 is going to be utilizing the exact same powertrains from the CX-90. We're going to have the 3.3 liter turbocharged inline-six engine, and this engine is going to be available in two different outputs. We're going to have the standard models with 280 horsepower and 332 pounds-feet of torque. Then when you go up to the Turbo S models, that same inline-six engine should be putting out 340 horsepower and 369 pounds-feet of torque. At least that's how it is with the current CX-90. And this inline-six engine, it's also going to utilize a mild hybrid system, and it will be mated to an 8-speed automatic transmission. All-wheel drive comes standard with the CX-90, and I hope that's going to be the case with the CX-70 as well. And also we can expect to see the plug-in hybrid version with the 2.5 liter naturally aspirated 4-cylinder engine that is mated to a 17.8 kilowatt hour battery pack. Should be putting out 323 horsepower, 369 pounds-feet of torque, and the range, at least with the CX-90, is 26 miles of pure EV range. Honestly, CX-70 should be slightly better. It should weigh a little bit less, or should ideally be a bit smaller as well, so we'll see when the official numbers come out on the CX-70. Regarding pricing, the CX-90 starts at a little under $40,000 and it tops out at about $60,000. Ideally, the CX-70 should start at least $3,000 or $4,000 less. That's what I would like to see. So I'm expecting the CX-70 to cost around $36,000, $37,000 starting, and it should top out at around $55,000 to $57,000. I have to be honest with you though, I personally was not a huge fan of the CX-90 plug-in hybrid that I tested last year. It was just such an unrefined package and completely uncharacteristic of how just about every other Mazda felt that I've driven in my life. And keep in mind, I am a journalist. I really drive these cars. I've driven every blasted iteration of the Mazda lineup for the last half a decade now. And I've seen how each and every one of their models improved over time with the way that they drove, with the interior solidity. I mean, over the years, I became a true Mazda fanboy. It was my ultimate go-to economy brand vehicle. Things like the CX-5, the CX-9, I mean, these were just perfect driving vehicles. Nothing really to complain about. Sure, they were a bit boring, but everything from refinement, ride quality, engine and transmission performance, the technology, even crash test safety. I mean, it was doing so many things right. And again, interior quality as well improved over the years. And I appreciated the solidity that things like the CX-5 had to offer. So when news came out about a new CX-90, a new flagship vehicle with a inline-six engine, I was more hyped than any of you because I had seen just how great these vehicles were and how they improved over time. And I thought they were going to implement all of that to make the ultimate Mazda product. I really thought when they came out with the CX-90 that it would be lights out for the German vehicles. But I got into the CX-90, the interior space, it lacked some quality. I didn't really appreciate some of the materials that they were using. The plug-in hybrid drivetrain felt really unrefined. The four-cylinder engine, that did not sound great, which was unfortunate because Mazda was one of the best at providing you with a refined four-cylinder experience, whether it was the naturally aspirated or the turbo four-cylinder. It didn't matter. They had done a great job in the past with the CX-5s, the CX-50s, the CX-9s. I mean, all these vehicles had nice, quiet four-cylinders, perfect ride quality. The CX-90, it even had a choppy ride. Needless to say, I was very disappointed. And for whatever reason, everyone was upset at me when I made that review. Like I did something, like I made this car. I have nothing to do with how a car drives. All I do is report how the vehicle feels. But over the years of me doing this, I've realized that the automotive consumer or enthusiast or whatever you want to call them, they have this personal mental narrative that they want to hear and see be fulfilled. And if you say anything that goes against their mental narrative, then they're simply going to slander you and try to take away from your truthful message. So I realized that when it comes to cars and vehicles, people are going to like what they like. They're going to go out and buy what they like. And me sitting here making ultra truthful car reviews with in-depth criticisms on the way a vehicle drives or feels, I realized that it's a moot point, and even the consumers themselves don't appreciate that type of honesty. So with the combination of the attitude of many viewers and consumers, along with a lot of the half-baked new products that are coming out from these manufacturers, I've really lost my interest, if you will, in doing car reviews. And I'm more so just focused on doing buyer's guide videos and helping people get the best deal possible on some of these cars, because I figured people will buy what they're going to buy. They might as well just get a great deal on it at least. So if they end up not liking the vehicle, they can at least dump it and get something else without losing a ton of equity if I at least help you get the best deal possible up front. Because another thing I noticed is not everyone has the same level of discernment when it comes to driving. I can be super in-depth and analytical when it comes to how a vehicle drives, and Mazda themselves in their press releases, they're talking about how the CX-70 is supposed to appeal to the driver and how they've gone to this rear-wheel drive biased setup. Many people got excited about that, and that's another reason why I received so much pushback from the consumers when they saw my review of the CX-90. They said, oh, this is supposed to be the best driving SUV ever. It's rear-wheel drive based. How can you not like that? What people didn't understand is them going to that rear-wheel drive setup, it didn't even benefit the vehicle at all. It actually just took away from this SUV. The third row seating in the CX-90, it's absolutely useless now because of their rear-wheel drive architecture. It was an SUV that they went back to the drawing board with, and they ended up making something worse than the CX-9. That's why I was just so upset. None of their driving enhancements worked. In fact, things like the Telluride and the Palisade feel better and more premium to drive than the CX-90. So I hope this company at least learned some lessons and they have managed to improve the CX-70 for the few people that do appreciate my honesty and my analytical approach when it comes to driving. Hopefully my thoughts and my detailed opinions can help you out so you can at least know what to watch out for with these new Mazdas. Again, I'm hoping that the CX-70 is improved. Before I conclude though, I would like to say one of the things that Mazda absolutely nailed is the brand new Bose audio system. It sounds phenomenal. One of the best sounding Bose audio systems that they have ever implemented. So if you love your music, you will absolutely appreciate that with the CX-90, and I'm assuming with the CX-70 as well. It should utilize the same Bose audio system. Anyway, helping you get the best deal possible. That's what I care about most nowadays. So in the description box below, I have a free leasing calculator provided to you by AutoCompanion. The other great thing that Mazda did was provide us with excellent deals. If you look at a Preferred Plus CX-90 that stickers for about $48,500, a vehicle like that, if you got a 7% discount on it, should lease for about $575 to $600 a month. Now, yes, that monthly payment is kind of up there. However, the good news is right now, January of 2024, the Mazda lease deals are great. The interest rate on the lease is only like 1%. If you wanted to finance these vehicles, Mazda is offering 2.9% for 36 months. So instead of doing that, you can actually just lease the vehicle for 36 months, take advantage of that 1% interest rate, and then at the end of the lease, if you still love the vehicle, you can buy out the vehicle at the end of the lease. So that's great. And also AutoCompanion's calculator, it does show you the interest rate, the residual value, and also the incentives that you can qualify for in your region. So there's a $1,000 lease support cash from Mazda, and there's also a $1,000 loyalty credit as well if you currently have a Mazda in your household. And keep in mind, these incentives, they stack on top of the discount. The discount is something that you should be getting from the dealership, and on these vehicles I would at least try to negotiate a 7 to 10% off MSRP. That's what I would at least try to go for on these CX-90s. With the plug-in hybrids, there's also a $7,500 lease credit as well, something else to keep in mind. So even though I personally was not a huge fan of the way the plug-in hybrid felt and drove, you can't deny it, there are some good deals right now on these vehicles. So if you need a large plug-in hybrid SUV, this is still something to consider. So even though it might not be the best driving experience, it is a decent deal right now. Keep in mind, leasing programs, they change every month, and this calculator also updates every month. So if you're watching this video in the future, you can use this calculator at any time and it should be up to date. And again, this is what I'm focusing in on, helping people get the best deal possible. Instead of being hypercritical about every new car that comes out, I feel like this is a much better use of everyone's time learning how to save money on these vehicles and taking advantage of the best deal possible. That way you can go out and buy any vehicle that you want, and as long as you got a good deal, in the future if you need to dump the vehicle, you can do that because you should have some equity, or you should be losing very minimal amounts of money when you go to trade the vehicle in because you got such a great deal buying the vehicle at the start. So if you appreciate that, please consider liking and subscribing. But thank you very much for watching this video. Take care and goodbye.